Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
Hey, this is Susan the Shed Gal. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Shed Geek podcast. Thank you for being here and watching us or listening to us this week. We really appreciate it. Today, I am in Mayer, Arizona. Very, very hot, sunny day. I am with the owner of 5 Star Sheds, Philip Stolzfus. Thank you, listeners, for being here. We very much appreciate you. Philip, thank you for agreeing to be on this week's episode.
Thank you, Susan.
Appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted to do, but
You're not the first to tell me that.
I can imagine.
Yeah, there you go.
But we're actually in Dewey, Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected because we drove through Mayer.
Correct.
And we are in Dewey, Arizona. And I will tell you, this manufacturing plant here has the best views of any manufacturing plant of any company that I've ever seen. So, Philip, tell me about, when did you first get into the shed industry?
I actually don't know the year, but I know I was 18 years old.
Okay.
Previously, before I was working with my dad, we were in the logging business, and there was a downturn or the prices of the logging was going down and just some hard times. And so we had an opportunity of a friend of ours that was considering starting to build sheds, and it just seemed like the right time. And so my brother and I, my younger brother, he's a year and a half younger than me.
And is that Chad?
It is.
Okay,
yes.
fantastic.
Most people think that he's older than me, but he is younger.
Well, hey, Chad, he clarified you're the younger brother. So
No, so that's when we started. So
Okay.
he was 17, I was 18, and we spent many a long days working, slaving away, building sheds.
where were you at when you did that originally?
That was in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And all right, wonderful. And so you just started building that, and they were portable, or
Yes.
were they? Okay. So how did that go? Did you know what you were doing at the beginning,
No.
or did you have a few challenges?
Oh my, yeah. It was, so we were used to destroying things, right? In the logging industry, you're
Right.
wrecking down trees and stuff. But you're building something new, which gives you a satisfying feeling.
Yes.
To create something new. But we had 3 days of training. We went to a company in Tennessee, I believe, and 3 days of training. And by the time we get back, we basically forgot everything. And so we struggled away, and even my parents, I think, wondered sometimes in those first couple of months because our paychecks were pretty low.
Oh, boy.
Because it was piecework, but we eventually figured it out.
Sounds like you may have, and many of us in this industry have gone through that, where you're kind of learning as you go and putting out fires. Yeah.
Yeah,
Along the way.
unfortunately.
Yes, and it is unfortunate. It's rough, yet it allows us a lot of growth of what not to do and what to share with people, I suppose, of what, here, try this, or people need more training for sure. So, okay, so you started building sheds when you were 18, along with your brother and your younger brother, right? Much younger brother, a whole year. And so how did it progress? How did we get to today? What's your story?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, when I was 21, I actually went overseas to help with an NGO, like refugees and that sort of thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I actually went to Iraq. I was off and on there for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I literally cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
But how cool. Did that in and of itself give you a different perspective on maybe that we're spoiled here in the United States?
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Most
I bet.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, for me, the business side of things, it's not so much about the money. It's more about people and relationships and working toward a common goal. I'm trying to create something here, right? I mean, values and that sort of thing, which can be tough sometimes to do. I mean,
Yes.
it's a struggle, but that is the goal: is to put God first in the business and recognize that everything that I have is from Him.
Absolutely.
He's the one who brought me to this point. Like if it would have been up to me, I probably would have stayed in Iraq for a lot longer, but it was up to Him to bring me back from there. And because of that, I obviously lost my job in the shed industry that I was working for 3 years, which I didn't mind because I needed a new phase in life. And that's when I moved to North Carolina, which my
Okay.
brother had already moved to North Carolina then, and he was working for a shed company down there. And so I just kind of moved down and I worked with him some, and then I was still going back and forth between a few mission trips and that sort of thing. And then I went into a little bit into sales, but I didn't do super well with it at the time. I was still super young. I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I've learned in my journey that in the sales, confidence is huge. Like if you know what
Yes.
you're talking about, or even if you don't know what you're talking about, the confidence, people just they
Isn't
gravitate.
that the truth? That is true.
So the more
Just own
yeah.
it, Philip.
Yep.
Own it, right? Yep.
And for me, that's when I have basically I just don't care and I'm just confident. Hey, this is what I believe in. I know my product is a good product. Yeah, the competition, they have good products as well, but I believe in what I am doing. A lot of times, a customer will buy because of that.
Right.
But yeah, going back to what brought me to Arizona, I just believed that my time in North Carolina was up. And I even told my brother that I feel like my time is up here soon. And I actually went to Bangladesh for a month.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
Yeah,
Boy,
there's-
you picked the top vacation destinations to do. That's incredible, though.
There was 1 million refugees. I think they're still there, actually, that came over from the country of Burma, I believe it was.
Right.
And
A million.
yeah, there's like one of the biggest refugees camps
No
in
home.
Bangladesh.
No
yeah.
food.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, hey, listeners, we are so blessed of what we have. And I think this is a good reminder because I'm literally getting goosebumps of we ought to be thankful every morning we wake up.
Very true.
Bangladesh. So tell me about Bangladesh just for a minute, and then we'll go on to moving to North Carolina because I want to hear about this. How do you even start to help when there's that much need for help?
You just start with doing the one thing that you know that you can do. And in this situation, what we were doing over there is we were drilling wells or repairing wells.
Okay.
So a lot of NGOs would go over there. They would dig a well, and then they would take their pictures and they would leave, right? Well, a month down the road, these wells would stop functioning, and so then
then they're back to square one.
Yeah,
Okay.
their use was not what it was intended for, and so we were repairing wells constantly. And
So they had a continuous supply of water
Yeah.
rather than, well, you had water for a month. Good luck.
And
Wow.
they had like, I don't know how many districts, at least 12 districts, if maybe more. And then each district had multiple wells there. I mean, we're talking 1 million people. So if one well broke down, well, then they would have to obviously go to, half a mile, sometimes maybe more to get their water.
Boy, that is humbling. When I complain about getting off the couch and having to walk 10 feet to get something out of my refrigerator. I mean, this is really putting things into perspective in my head right this moment, that the things we take for granted.
Very true.
I woke up this morning and I had a thought. I almost posted it on Facebook because those of you that follow me personally know I post everything on Facebook. And I was just like, I thought, gosh, in my head, I complain in the morning if I wake up before the alarm clock. And in my head, every morning, I complain if the alarm clock wakes me up. And I decided to make a conscious decision of starting immediately. I'm just going to be thankful I woke up. But going back, so you're in Bangladesh. How long were you there for?
I was actually only there for a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was one of my shorter stays. In my other countries, I stayed a little bit longer, but that one was only a month. But I knew what I went there for, I did what I intended, I believed, but I did know that that's not where God wanted me to be. So I came back to North Carolina, went back, was working at the barn shop there.
So when you went to your brother and said, I know that changes are coming. I'm being led to make changes. What was his response to you, if you don't mind
actually,
sharing?
he didn't really say much, but he came back to me actually that very same day, and he's like, I have a job offer in Phoenix, Arizona. And he had worked for a friend of his for just a weekend, 4 days, I think it was, at his barn shop just to help him out.
Right.
And one of his bosses had come through at that time, and he had seen my brother working there. And so a year later, that boss went and called him up and offered him a job.
Okay.
And he was not able to do that because he had a contract with a company in Washington State. And so he was like, I can't do it, but I think my brother would be interested in this.
Not what you know, it's who you know, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Especially in this industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my brother came to me and he was like, are you interested? And I just knew immediately, like, this is what I needed to do. And I thought about it for a couple days, and those feelings didn't change. And me and my younger brother, another brother that I have, came out to Phoenix, Arizona, packed my possessions in my car, and we came out here without ever even, ever coming out here.
I've done things like that. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah. So your first time out here was literally when you moved here.
Yes,
Yep.
correct. Yeah.
Wow. And
What-
that was how long ago?
That was in 2018.
Okay.
So is that
So 6 years ago?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're still here in Arizona.
That's correct.
So you got to Arizona, and let's talk about from then till now.
Yeah, so I worked for a company for about 8 months, and then things didn't work out. But I didn't feel like my time was up in Arizona. And so I decided, well, why not try something myself? And it's just been a lot of God moments. I came up north to visit my uncle, and I happened to... So in Phoenix, they have a lot of pallets that people pick up pallets and they take them in for extra money. And granted, I didn't have a job at this point, and I needed a little bit extra money. So I was like, well, I'll just drive my truck over to this certain place because I saw advertised on Facebook about these pallets that free you can take them.
Yeah.
I drove over there, and they weren't the right size, so I ended up not getting them. But I saw a piece of property there. And I just messaged the realtor, and I was just like, hey, are you willing to own or finance this? Or will the owner be willing to do that? And they were.
Wow.
And so I didn't really have the money at the time. And I ended up actually flying out to Washington and working for my brother for, 2 weeks, I think it was, and I actually made the money. It was actually the most money I ever made in the building
That's
department. Granted, I did work 20 hours a day for 5 days a week, but
there was
I had a purpose.
You had a purpose.
Yeah,
That's right.
That was pretty crazy. But we did. So I put a down payment on that land. Interestingly enough, I was on that land for a couple months, and it didn't have a building on it. It just was bare land, and the county shut me down. And they're like, "You're not allowed to do this. You have to develop the land." And I'm like, "Okay." So I ended up moving to Mayer, and there was a plot of land there, which happened to be my uncle knew the landowner. And
Does your uncle live here?
He lives in Mayer.
Okay.
Off
All right.
grid.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
back in.
So, okay. I was
Yeah.
thinking, well, I thought maybe he lived way out in the east. And I'm thinking, wait,
Right,
he
no.
knew so. Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
he lives in Mayer, and he knows the guy there. And so it was like a godsend for $450 a month.
What?
Yeah, I did the exact same thing that I was doing there at my other place that I was building. I just moved my operation, kept built there for a year, I believe it was.
Sheds.
Yes,
Building sheds. So Phoenix said, Philip, you've got to go.
Dewey.
Oh,
Dewey.
well, but in Phoenix they said you've got to go and it wouldn't work
Oh.
and shut you down. And then up here they said, okay, or
No, so
Okay.
here let's go back.
yes,
Okay,
please.
so I was living in Phoenix. I came up here to visit my uncle.
Gotcha.
I saw the land in Dewey.
Okay.
Which I did buy actually, and it's just a couple miles from here.
Yes.
But that didn't work out, and so we moved to Mayer, and we stayed there for a year, building outside. In the hot weather.
Oh my
Interestingly
goodness.
enough, it was a drought that year, and it rained twice.
We had one of those last year
Yeah.
too, I think. Well, of course, you may get a little more rain up here than what we refer to in Arizona as the
Right.
valley. But I'll think about that, folks. For most of us across the country, it rained 2 times that year.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it is
my
crazy.
My brother says I usually send videos to my brother saying, "Oh, it's raining here," and he's like, "Oh, you're done for the year now."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is that the brother in Washington
Yeah.
where he's used to rain pretty
Oh,
much every day?
yeah.
So, and then when did you get to the property that we're on now?
Yeah. So let's see. In 2021 is when I moved to this property.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, it was like 2 weeks before my wedding.
Okay. And I was
So-
going to ask you, I know you're married. I was going to get to that. So now I know how long you've been married. Okay.
Yep. In 2021, I got married. Yep. To my wife, Hannah. We actually met in Iraq. She was on a group over there, with the NGO, helping with refugees as well. And then we connected together many
That's-
years later.
Incredible. He met his wife in Iraq. I'll bet that not one of our listeners has. Well, I won't bet anything. It's very unlikely that any of our listeners or anyone watching met their wife in Iraq. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted because I thought that I do. I think that's so cool. So 2021, get married.
Yeah. So that's when we moved here into the shop, and we've been here ever since. And
Wonderful.
then hopefully by next year we'll actually be moving into our new shop that we're building on that land that I had actually purchased in the beginning.
Interesting. So not the Phoenix property, or
No.
yes, okay. So some of the things that I took from that story that you just said is you don't stop.
I can't.
Yeah. Well, and we do have a choice that we can, but some of our personalities, like yours or mine, we don't. We choose not to. In our minds, we can't. It's who we are, right? Is that what you mean? You can't because it's who you are. It's who.
Well, for me, it's what God has
Yes.
me doing. For me, it's not so much about sheds, right?
Yes.
It's what God wants me to do in my life. Like if God wants me out of sheds, like I don't have a problem leaving the shed industry. That's not my problem. I'm more concerned about, well, where does God want me?
Yes.
And so I'm actually more concerned about, am I learning here today what God wants me to learn? Am I being the leader that I need to be? Yeah, I mess up time and time and time again. Like, I wish I wouldn't mess up so many times often. And I even think, oftentimes I think like somebody else could probably do this better than I could. But at the end of the day, like you said, I just can't quit. Like, I have to keep going, because this is where God has put me.
Yes.
This is where he has called me, and I have to keep doing that until he takes me to my next place, my next step, wherever he wants me to go to.
Have you been considering adding a line of greenhouses to your brand? At Cold Spring Enterprises, we have the perfect solution for you. By incorporating greenhouse products into your sales location, whether you're a do-it-yourself dealer or a manufacturer supporting multiple shed lots, you can expand your customer base. We offer easy-to-assemble greenhouse kits that will simplify the process of adding greenhouses to your lot. You can choose between two basic styles, an economy style and an A-frame style. We can ship a standard 8x12 greenhouse kit directly to your shed lot or manufacturing location. These kits include all the necessary components for assembly, except for the wainscoting or clear panels, door, and fan. However, we can assist you in connecting with the supplier for these items. Moreover, we also offer negotiable bulk pricing for multiple units. To help you get started, we are pleased to offer an exclusive discount through the Shed Geek podcast. You can receive an 8x12 economy or A-frame style greenhouse, complete with wainscoting or clear panels, a screen door, and fan. The pricing for a complete one-time display unit starts at $2,195 for an economy style and $2,545 for an A-frame style, excluding shipping and tax. For more information and to request bulk unit pricing, please visit www.shedgeek.com/cold-spring-enterprises and fill out your information, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Or simply go to the Shed Geek newsletter and click on the greenhouse picture to fill out your information. Thank you for considering our greenhouse kits. We are excited to work together to bring greenhouse kits to your line of products.
I love the fact that when you said you saw this, you're out looking for pallets, you see this piece of property, you have no money, and you call the realtor and ask if they'll do it on an owner contract. There are those of us who get things done, and there are those of us that don't ask the questions. And I think one of the things that sets you apart about being a doer, you get things done, you're a doer and a shaker, is that you'll put yourself out there to just ask. The answer is always no if we don't ask.
Correct.
And it's okay if it's no if we do. I love that, because there's a lot of people that aren't willing to take what they would consider that to be a risk. I think you and I wouldn't even consider it a risk. It's just what we do.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about Hannah.
Okay.
So you met her in Iraq, married in 2021.
Yes.
So 3 years. I won't ask your anniversary date because that could
May
go
the 7th.
Okay, good. All right. Good. Hannah, you got a good one here. Didn't want to put you on the spot there. Do you have any children?
No, not yet.
No children yet. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another podcast in 5 or 10 years, and who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
You'll have taken in 10 children from somewhere. I almost could see the,
I don't think I could take 10 children.
Well, yeah.
I come from a family of 11. So so I have 6 brothers and 4 sisters.
Okay.
So that's a lot of work.
I had a friend, he was actually a driver for Graceland up in Washington State. Super nice guy named Tim. And he was one of 21 children.
Whoa.
Yes.
Was he with the Bates or something?
He was number 11. I'm not sure what, I'm not sure. That's a lot of children. He was number 11. So he had, 10 older and 10 younger. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but when he first told me, I thought he was joking because I'm not familiar with families that large, and I think it was just incredible, just incredible. His story. I need to contact him and get him on a podcast too.
I'm sure he has
Let's
lots
talk about how you cook meals for 21 children. I mean, that in and of itself is just amazing.
Yeah.
So, is Hannah involved in the business at all, or?
Yeah, she does some of like the paperwork side of things,
Okay.
more of counting, that sort of things, pays my workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So it's a team.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our roles in different things. You have a brother, Chad, up in Washington. He has Genesis Sheds.
Yes,
And
correct.
he is in Winlock, Washington, I
Yes.
believe. And I really had hoped, I was up there a couple weeks ago, and I'd really hoped that I was going to have time to get down and meet him in person and possibly do a podcast. Chad, I'd love to do a podcast with you if you'd give me that honor. Maybe the next time I'm up there, but I didn't have a chance. I've seen on, I'm friends with Greg and April, Shed AZ, fantastic people. So I'm familiar with your buildings. We have some things in the works behind the scenes working together. But what I see is creativity. And I saw it from Chad, and I'm seeing it from you. Let's talk about, you have a new shed with a copper roof, and I don't know the model. It's an A-frame.
Correct.
Yes.
With A-frame with dormers.
Yeah, with dormers. Now, there may be something else like it in Arizona, but I've never seen it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It's very, very unique. You have the ability as the business owner to step outside the box, right?
Correct.
And you're doing that. What are you seeing? I noticed you're offering some beautiful greenhouses.
Yes, we are.
Some portable porches, also known as portable decks. What's leading you to step outside the box of maybe what you were doing even 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, it's more the economy slowing down a little bit, and a lot of competition has risen in the last year or two, and in my opinion, about anybody can build a shed, right? But
Correct.
It's
except
when
for my
you're-
husband, and for those of you that know, you know.
It's more about being creative, and it's the people with the money that are still spending it, right? The wealthy are still, they want what they want.
Yes.
And so they want new things. They don't want just your average shed. They want a nice looking shed, and they're willing to pay for it. So when the economy is slow, then it's the wealthy that buy, and then which would be your higher dollar buildings,
Yes.
and then you're the cheapest of the cheap buildings. That's kind of how I look at it, because most people are trying to save their money, and so they go the cheapest possible way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it is true, and I'm hearing it nationwide. I mean, I think that for the most part, all companies are having the same issues, and dealers are having the same issues. April and I had talked about this a little bit, and Greg, and I've talked to many other dealers about it. One of the things I think that's in addition to the economy and it being an election year, and
Correct.
the government isn't writing us these big checks anymore, and COVID being not what it was a few years ago, I think it comes down to everybody's marketing the same too. Are you seeing that at all? I know I see some posts from dealers, and I'll use April. And she's not paying me for this promotion. I'll use her. Their posts, some of them are so unique. I love it. It's and they're not without their challenges. I get that too. But so many dealers, no matter what company they're with, their posts all look the same. And I'm wondering if that isn't. It's just another thing that's adding to it, because we know that more dealers. I mean, I was about the only dealer in Washington State advertising portable buildings, starting August 1st of 2017.
Gotcha.
I'd do a free post in 10 Facebook groups, and I am not exaggerating. I'd have 10 or 12 people reaching out through. It was almost a joke. Like, I had to watch when I posted. Those days are long gone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ads that all look the same, I think it all plays a part in this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And Greg and April have done a wonderful job.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, they make a great addition to our team. Like,
Yes.
I guess I shouldn't say addition, because they are the team. Like, we are the team.
Yes.
So, they have helped 5-star tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think great things are coming for them. I know they have some things in the works that are just that I think it's going to turn things around. One of the things that you do that most of the companies that I talk to or that I've dealt with in the past that do on-site builds, you do some a little bit different. What do you charge extra for an on-site build?
We're only about at 5% now. If it's super local, like we're even willing to waive that cost.
You do know that that's very unique. You might not be the only one that low.
Right.
But that when April told me, I was like, wait, what did you say? Like I couldn't believe it. And I know you had a special a couple months ago. Where will you go in the state of Arizona? Number one, where will you go to deliver buildings to? Are you all over the entire state?
Yeah, we'll go all over the state,
Okay.
and if somebody's willing to pay, I know we had an inquiry in Texas, which would be 8 hours from here for like those A-frames that you were
Yes.
talking about, and like as long as my driver's willing to deliver it, like we'll do it if the customer's willing to pay for it.
Yes.
Yeah, but generally we're in the state of Arizona.
Okay. Wonderful. So as far as on-site builds with restrictions on, there might be certain areas or limited areas in the state, but do you do on-site builds in the entire state too, or do you do them within a 30-mile region?
So I would more or less say, so within 100 miles, I would be willing to do that, even no cost extra.
Wow.
But anything more than that, that's when I should at least get a 5% fee just to cover for gas and some of that
Well,
stuff.
I want to let you know, I am that blows me away. I mean, it blows me away how low that cost is. And what it tells me is your on-site build team's very efficient. They know what they're doing. Because the other companies that are out there are charging way, way more.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly a competitive advantage. And it might be something that some of those companies may want to consider, thinking about what they're charging. Now, I understand at the end of the day, everybody needs to make money,
Right.
But I just think for you and your business, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. You also offer, tell me the style, some different things about sizes. What size do you start at? What size do you go to?
I mean, I have built as small as a, 4x6 or something.
Oh,
but,
those are fun to deliver.
well, actually, most of those I've just kind of put them on my flatbed and
Yes.
delivered them myself.
Yeah.
But the general rule is an 8x8 all the way up to a 16x56.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I know DOT has some restrictions of certain areas anywhere.
there
I
is,
mean, that's not unique to here or anywhere else, but that's a big building.
That's huge, yeah.
Yes.
And Arizona just passed a law recently making it easier to do casitas or ADUs,
Yes.
accessory
I read about
dwelling
that.
units. Yeah, so that actually could potentially help us as well. To where somebody can take our deluxe model and finish it out, or just buy an A-frame that's finished out for an extra bedroom. Like, I think that could be a possibility.
Oh, I think it's huge.
Yeah.
I think it's huge. And I think getting the word out there that the laws of Arizona have changed. Check your local rules, but here's an option for you where they're not having to hire a contractor and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned finished out. Let's talk about that. What do you think? Is there a big market for folks who are wanting buildings that are finished out? And what does that include? Does that include like wiring? We're sitting in your office here, and I came in and I'm like, this is so awesome. This is awesome. I love it. I love the way it's done. What does finished out mean?
Yeah, so finished out would be you have insulation and then wiring, which obviously your receptacles, your lights, enough to run an air conditioner, and then your paneling on the inside, which what we have been doing for like our A-frames is we actually use the lap siding that you'd normally use on the outside of the building. And because they have beveled edges, we just put them up against each other, and then it actually looks like your shiplap with the grooves on it, which makes it perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
Which makes it easier to install as well and quicker. So that's pretty much what it would be for.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously your trim and stuff.
So with you, can they customize, like if they want, do you have just like an electrical package, or can they say, well, I want extra outlets and...
Yeah, they can definitely do extra outlets. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more of that. And it's, a lot of our listeners are not on, there's fewer listeners on the West Coast because there's fewer of us in the industry on the West Coast. And I travel to all these other states, and I just see lots and options and buildings that just we don't see out here. So I think out here we forget that we are not the universe. I'm seeing a lot more companies getting more creative and finishing off buildings and offering different options. And I don't know. What's your opinion? Do you think? I think, here's my opinion. I think that companies are going to have to adapt and do that, or I think they're going to get eaten up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be where people like to, they like a company that can do as much as possible for them.
Yes.
All in one type deal. Whereas if you're buying a shed and then you're getting somebody else to finish out, and then you have to hire the electrician, you're at 3 people right there, and it adds up really quickly to whereas they're willing to pay a little bit extra if you can just do it all yourself.
Yeah.
And in Arizona, it's probably this way in other states as well, but in Arizona, people have a really hard time trusting contractors, because they'll call 10 contractors, 5 of them won't respond back to you, and 3 of them will schedule a time to meet, and they won't show up, and then the other 2 finally, they're expensive, and but then they're the ones who will get it done.
Right. And I'm giggling here in my head and out loud because I am in so many Facebook pages, and I as more so in Arizona than anywhere else, but a lot nationwide, and I see comments just like that all the time. I mean, it's bad enough that they don't answer or return calls. It's even worse that they scheduled to go out there and then not show up. And I wonder about the people that do that, because the economy is cyclical. It's up and down. It's always been up and down. And I wonder about we'll just use contractors because you mentioned that. If they have so much business today that they're able to treat people that way, they might be having a rough time in 5 years when it's just not the same. And we're not even in a rough economy. I mean, we're in a really rough economy right now. You would almost think that these folks would be bending over backwards more to help people. So It's so interesting. Greetings from the Shed Gal. As I delve deeper into the shed and steel building industries, I am thrilled to establish connections with friends who offer amazing products, such as Wendell Hochstetler, the owner of VersaBend Tube Bender. At VersaBend, they thank you for your interest in their tube bender. The VersaBend is designed to bend 2-inch, 2 1/4 inch, and 2 1/2 inch square tubing, as well as 2 by 3 inch rectangular tubing in either 14 or 12 gauge. Powered by a robust 5 horsepower unit, it features 2 adjustable stops for setting your desired degree or pitch. Priced at just $19,500 and shipped from Abbeville, South Carolina, you can secure your VersaBend with a down payment of only $1,500. Contact them today to check availability and get placed on their order list. VersaBend is a family-owned business dedicated to providing an easy-to-operate bender made with off-the-shelf components. A unique feature of their bender is that it offers a full radius bend, unlike the double crushed bends produced by most other machines. Want to see it in action? Visit their website at www.csecarport.supply or give them a call at 864-446-3645. Do you think, and I've only been in this industry for 7 years, so I consider myself a baby in this industry, but I think when the shed industry started, it seems like, okay, here's an option for a basic shed. And yeah, companies would have different styles, but very limited options. It's evolving, isn't it?
Yes,
it's
it is.
really evolving. And I even remember telling folks that would ask me, well, can you do electrical, or can you do insulation, or can you finish them off? Well, even though the companies are licensed contractors, unlike a contractor that you would hire, we stay within that box to keep our prices low. And that works, but I don't think it's going to work in the future. I mean, yes, if I had to hire a contractor to build me, if I just went out and hired ABC contractor to build me that beautiful A-frame with the dormers that you build, it's going to cost me more with them.
Well, most likely, definitely.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And it's even like the portable decks.
Yeah.
In talking to other people in the industry, I'm like, well, okay, I don't know about building costs. So if I was going to hire a contractor locally to come out and build that, what percentage more? And I've heard anywhere from 20 to 40% more. Well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can save a person 20 to 40% or even 10% or 5%, I think it's amazing. It's really interesting to me about how this industry is evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for us, I mean, I don't want to just do what the competition is doing. I want to be on the edge of doing new things.
Well, you're leading the pack in Arizona, so there's
well, that's good to hear.
You are leading the pack in Arizona. So, and kudos to you for doing that.
But that is also my goal, is because if I'm going to be in the shed business, I want to do good work, right? Now, do we always do that? I mean, we definitely try, but we make mistakes like anybody.
What?
Yeah.
You're human? Come on now.
But if we put our value pretty high and our quality high, then with the new things that we're doing, well, then it's actually going to bring the bar up for everybody else. Like, they're going to have to bring the bar up. And I've even I've already seen it. Like, where we were basically the only company who offered like a radiant barrier siding. Now there's other companies that will offer that. They might not put it on all of their buildings, but now that some of the competition is doing that, well, I want to take it to the next level, and instead of doing the radiant barrier, is actually do an Astro wrap and have like an R9 value of insulation, and just have that pretty much standard for all my buildings.
And I mean, having that standard would really be outside the box, especially out here. Yeah, it's to me, it's crazy, because at the end of the day, it's just a shed. But it's amazing to me how, like you, I am so vested in this industry, and I think it's so amazing, and seeing things evolve and companies changing. One of the things that and you may or may not agree with me on this, one of the things I see a lot in this industry is oftentimes things are 10 years behind, whether it be a technology or... but I've seen vast change in many companies in the last couple of years. And, I encourage everybody, what worked 10 years ago probably isn't going to work today.
Right.
And it's really not going to work in 5 or 10 years from now. The technology now that's available to dealers and haulers and manufacturers, it's really evolved. There's some good stuff out there.
There is.
And so it's such a great industry, in my opinion. And again, at the end of the day, it's just a shed, but it's what we do. It's what we live.
Yeah.
I joke with people that if I'm awake, I'm working. And if you follow me, you see me here, there, and everywhere. I'm always working. I can work from anywhere. But it's... I literally live this industry, and I'm sure you probably do too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, you have how many different styles, or approximately how many? Because you have a vast assortment.
So, are you talking shed styles, or what type of styles are you talking?
Yeah, shed styles. Yeah.
I mean, if you're just talking shed, you're looking at 4 or 5 different models.
Okay.
But then when you're adding porches and random stuff like that, you could call that a different style. But to me,
it's the same style
yeah.
with the porch.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then we have added the A-frame. We've added the greenhouse just recently, which is a hybrid from the metal shed, which that's also one that we have done.
Yes. So that's more the metal sided is more of an economy line.
Yes,
more
correct.
you're gonna the customer is gonna get more square footage for their dollar. I mean that's
Yes.
just the way it is. But
Yes.
they're very, very nice. Well, I'll tell you a secret. Well, it's not really a secret. It's what I project. You are going to sell a ton of greenhouses in Arizona, and it's new for you, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Still working out the kinks.
Yeah, and they will work themselves out because you're not going to stop before they do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, you're going to when you're ready to literally blast that off, you're going to sell a ton. And some of you may not realize, but most of Arizona is above 4,500 feet elevation, which is kind of crazy because
It is.
down in the what we refer to the valley of Maricopa County and Phoenix, it's pretty flat.
Yes.
But up here, driving up to Dewey today, beautiful drive up. We were going up. We're not super high right here, but if you go a little bit farther north, just to Flagstaff, you're at almost 7,000 feet.
7,000, yeah.
You're in beautiful ponderosa pines and a lot of snow in the winter, and there, I can see people using the greenhouses. They're going to be used for winter in the valley, and they're going to be used, most of the rest of the year up in the higher elevations. It's a win-win situation for you.
Yeah, that was a situation where I just couldn't wait any longer to build greenhouses. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna figure something out.
Yes.
And I guess I just winged it.
Yes.
Came up with an idea in my head. Just took my metal version and just redid it a little bit.
Yeah.
Put some clear plastic on it. And interestingly enough, I built my first one, and Greg took a few pictures of it, and he sold it before it ever got to his lot.
I heard that.
And then another customer bought like a 10 by 16 greenhouse, and this was without it ever even, like, people aren't even able to see these things because they're selling. So now we're in the process. We've got like another 4 that we're about ready to send out. So
Well, I think you ought to get ready.
Yeah.
Because I think once your dealers start and you start promoting those, it's going to be a big hit. Little shout out to Jaden Martin at Heritage Steel. I think you happen to know him.
I do know him.
In Salisbury, North Carolina. Super great guy.
Yes, he is.
Chantel, his wife, fantastic. Their folks, their team members. I mean, I love that company. They have some beautiful greenhouses too, and they're selling a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that that's what's going to happen here. Now, as when I was a dealer in Arizona, I could not find a company that I could sell greenhouses for.
Yep.
Once again, you are leading the pack.
Yeah.
It's so without divulging any industry secrets, do you have any other products that I don't know about or that are coming along the pipeline? Or I saw a cute little, that's not new. I saw a cute little, I'm assuming it's probably a playhouse out there. A little pink building today. I thought that was awfully cute.
Yeah, we just figured we would put one of those on the lot
Yep.
to draw people in, get their
Well, guess
attention.
what? You put it up on the lots, they're going to sell. I just think about all the things over the years I've had requests for, and it doesn't mean every time someone asks you if you offer something that they're going to buy it, but if you don't offer it. So any different products coming along the line?
I don't know. For me, it's always actually it's kind of up to the customer at this point. And then you just kind of see what people are interested in and kind of go that direction. Yes. I just quoted a custom build, on-site build for like a balcony. Or I guess you can't call it a balcony, but basically a place where they could actually walk up onto the roof and have a flat area there on their roof.
Interesting.
So that.
Well, if you do that, I want to see pictures.
Yeah, I definitely need to take
Yeah.
pictures of that. But that's about the newest thing. So
I believe, if I'm not speaking out of terms, like the portable decks or portable porches, I think you may be the first in the state doing those as well.
yeah, and so some of that stuff I have to perfect a little bit more. Like even the portable decks, like basically the ones that we have built have, in my opinion, are just observatories, right? Because they're all portable, they're decks, but they're used, for example, I built 2 of them before for a mining company. And so they would have their people come in, and then they would stand underneath the portable deck to get out of the sun, right?
Okay. All right. Okay, I see
So
what you
that
say.
is
what
more
you're
of
saying.
like an observatory thing.
Yeah.
And we've sold a couple more from that. But the deck side of things, the portable decks, I have to, not redesign, but amp it up a little bit more, and to where I can adjust the heights and sort of that thing. I haven't done that yet, and that's where I think that could be a huge hit as well because of all the manufactured houses out here.
Yes.
Tons of manufactured in the north especially, and they have nothing. They have no decks, and with the way contractors are, if they could just go onto a lot and see, I could buy a deck and I could just pull it up to my house and I can do rent to own on that, they're going to be like, sign me up.
Yes. I was talking to a dealer a few months ago about the rent to own on portable decks because they offer it. And I'm like, wait, you can rent to own a portable porch, I said, I'm just curious, I wonder how many of those are going to get, people are going to default on.
Yeah.
And, and that's really yet to be seen. But we were talking about even versus a shed. If you have your manufactured home and you have maybe a shed on rent-own and you have your portable porch on rent-own, you're probably going to give up your shed before you give up your porch. Because your kids are going in and out each day, you got to bring the groceries in, and so. But it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me also that the rent-own companies are very creative on what they will do. I struggle in my head of how on earth do we market a portable porch? I know it could be done. In fact, I saw one of your posts, Greg's post, I believe, that he had done, and I loved it. It was great. But in my head, I'm like, how are people? So many people don't even still to this day don't understand what a portable building is.
Right.
And now we're talking about, okay, well, you can buy a portable porch, But that'll be interesting. So what I heard from you is it's not just like we decide to build something and then it's perfected the next day. It's really a process.
It is. It takes a lot of work, time, and energy. And I mean, building the structure itself is actually kind of simple. It's and it's actually a lot of fun to do that. But then your time in figuring out how many materials goes into it, the pricing costs, and all that. So there is a lot of work, and with as much new stuff as we've been doing, it's been a lot of work.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of it on the dealer side. I don't think I ever thought about how much goes into those things. Because you're doing it.
Right.
But I wonder how many dealers are like, come on, just get it done, right? We would, but remember, we're also doing everything else we're doing.
Right.
And I think that's, you still have to, manufacture the sheds and be doing everything else and running the operation and training. Let's talk a little bit about COVID.
Okay.
Because COVID it's not over. COVID's still around, but it is not wreaking the havoc. When I say havoc, I mean the havoc of none of us could even keep up during COVID, right? We couldn't keep up on the sales side. Companies couldn't keep up on the manufacturing side. What do you think? And I hope it never happens again. I hope we never had that. I mean, we literally joked that we could not sell a building. I mean, I was shut down for a month, and and then we did 7, and I was selling, but our lots were shut down. I was going to put my team members out on a lot, and people would be mad at us, even though a shed was deemed essential. And then we did, sold 70 one month. I mean, it was just in top of all the metal. What were some good things that came out of COVID as far as maybe learning experiences, and what are things that you hope never happen again? If that makes sense. Like, were there some lessons that we should have learned from COVID?
Yeah, I think for me, like we grew so rapidly that that we had to, like, what I hope that doesn't happen again is I got to make sure the numbers are correct, because you have inflation, right? And then you have to adjust your prices going up, and then now you have to adjust them coming down. And that's a pretty difficult process. But as far as, we were essential workers. I mean, we kept working. It's interesting because I was going into the business in like the end of 2019, right? And I was chomping at the bit, ready to go. And the word I got from God was Isaiah 40:31. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. And God just told me to wait, right? Just be patient. And then January happened, and then COVID hit 2020 in January. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I'm trying to start a new business here. Like, am I doing actually what God is asking me to do? And then it happened. It just started rolling. And it just, I mean, we did pretty well in 2020, but then 2021, we really, we probably did 4 times the amount that we did in 2020. Cow. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, those of us that survived it, it's like, it was a great time on one hand, but it was also a horrible time on one hand. Yeah. Or maybe not horrible, maybe very challenging. I mean, where are you getting the materials? How it was very, very difficult, I think, on everyone. And I remember up in Washington, calling about some delays and the poor plant manager, but we're trying to stay up to date. And they're like, we literally cannot find a 2x4 to buy. Did you ever think in your life that you would say that, something like that? And then it was another time, it was siding. We literally cannot get in siding. And then it was metal roofing. We can't get that in. And it was just, I just can't. Those things I hope we never go through.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, our thing was the Silvertech siding, and we were getting it for a great price, right? And
that's amazing.
At one point, we had to buy it from Home Depot and wait for 8 weeks to get it, and the pricing was like $20 a sheet more.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so.
Oh wow!
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, yeah, because and especially when you're selling buildings at one price, and then there was good things like great. It's great that we're selling more, and it's 4 times more, but it's not without its challenges, and it's only my opinion. I think that a lot of the issues that we're seeing now, they're not United States issues. They're worldwide issues with inflation and problems that are happening. But it is rough. And you touched on that earlier about the people that had money still have money. And in fact, they probably have more money. I mean, look at our stock market, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the rest of us. And we have, the United States has more credit card debt right now than it's ever had in the past. And it's heartbreaking. And then you think, well, how can that possibly be when the government literally, there were so many different programs and checks coming from, this and that and PPP loans and different things. It's like, how can we be more in debt now? Well, it's because I think we got spoiled and people just kept on spending and they didn't have the money. So it is a very challenging time, no doubt. Portable buildings aren't going anywhere. I mean, as far as they're not going away.
Right.
If you're struggling out there, folks, if you're a manufacturer that's having issues or you're a dealer that's having challenges, you have to dig deep inside. And that's what you're doing.
Definitely.
God is leading you and saying, you know what? And Susan is behind the scenes saying, come on, get those greenhouses, right? Yeah, it's very interesting time. What do you see you mentioned building another spot and hoping in the next, or another piece of property and moving to another piece of property. What are your long-term goals for 5-Star Sheds?
Well, for me, I actually want it to be kind of a self-sustaining business to eventually to where I can let someone else run the company for me. So if you know anybody out there.
Well, this is a good podcast to put the word out that, hey, if there's someone responsible who works hard, who could be a great opportunity in Mayer, Arizona.
Yeah. But my goal is, so obviously I want to grow my leadership abilities with 5-Star. And I believe that's a part of the process of why God has me here. But I want to continue being a light, being in the ministry, that sort of thing. So long term, like I don't know where I'm going to be, right?
Right.
So that's why I need to do the best that I can now with what I have. And that's where collaboration comes into play, finding key people, because I do believe that there's more people out there that are willing to help me with my business, even growing my business.
I 100% agree. You just maybe you haven't even met them yet. Or, I mean, it's not that you don't have great people. It's that there's more that you don't even know are out there that you haven't met yet that are meant to be with you.
If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. That's what I believe Steve Jobs said.
Say that one more time.
If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Collaboration.
So, yeah.
So as a business owner, you have so many different hats. And it's going to be fun to watch the progression. And I see this business growing and evolving and allowing you to... I got the feeling, and it was just goosebumps when we were talking. So, those watching, you may not have gotten the same feeling, but I got the feeling that you're led to mission work and helping people. And, I see this as being a tool to get you to be able to do that more.
Yes.
And I hope we get to see and watch that. Real quick, Chad, younger brother, up in Washington. So you started your journey, you came out here, and then he ended up in Washington.
Correct.
And so do you collaborate with him?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He helps me out some in 5-Star. I don't help him as much in Genesis because he has a very good group of people up there.
Yes.
He has a bunch of good skilled labor and everything like that. But
wonderful.
But yes, he does help me out a bunch. I mean, he is kind of the one who got me out here. He actually facilitated that.
Amazing.
He is a wonderful person and a great brother. Like, yeah. I
really look forward to meeting him in person and seeing his operation. One of the things about where he is located is what makes sense for Washington State. Now, I've looked up his dealer network, and there's an area, I'm not going to say it in Washington State, that I know his intention was to go to. He may already have grown into that area, but I'm not going to throw it out there in case that's an industry secret. But I don't know. Does he go down into Oregon too?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he's more the Southwest Washington, but it makes a lot more sense for growing a more populous area to be where he is than maybe some other areas in the state. So I think that was a really good decision on his part.
He did a job in Alaska, so I'm sure he can.
All right. Well, wow, that was a field trip from work, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, good. Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
I think this is cool. It's to me, this podcast, it isn't just about a shed and four walls and okay, someone uses this siding and someone uses that siding. It's about what got you here,
Right?
And I think you've expressed that really well.
Thank you.
I feel like I know you, right? And I think we only met once in the past.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'm gonna give you the opportunity if you want to ask me any questions. I'm honestly not even sure why we do this. The last couple of people were like, nope, no questions. And I'm like, yeah, you can just watch my Facebook if you have a question, write about me. But do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. I mean, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
In 5 years from now, I will have continued to be helping as many people in this industry as I possibly can.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that's an ever evolving way. The amount of people that have reached out to me. I was talking to a gal yesterday in Oklahoma and she said, I talked to you a couple of years ago. I reached out to you a couple of years ago. And it was like, that's so cool. So I, are there ways better than mine? Absolutely. Are there people that, are more effective than me? Absolutely. But I see myself helping as many people as I possibly can. And in the midst of that, growing and doing it so I can share with more people. If money wasn't an issue and you and your wife could leave tomorrow on a mission trip, where would you go?
I would probably visit Iraq again and visit actually some of the friends that I made there. Yeah.
I was wondering, before we wrap this up, I was wondering when you were talking about Iraq and Bangladesh, I was wondering if you made, if relationships were made that would be long-term.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I still have one guy. I should reach out to him again. It's been a little while since I've talked with him, but yeah, for years, like he has messaged me and stuff.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We live on this small planet in the realm of the entire universe, yet Iraq seems so far away.
Yeah.
So far away. Well, thank you, Philip. Really, thank you. I so appreciate you taking your time out of your day. This is Susan, the Shed Gal. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Shed Geek podcast, and we will see you soon.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.